My, Guitar Friends, episode 51.
51?
51. It's like a start of a whole new era.
We're on the other side.
Season 2.
Season 2.
That was all season 1.
Well, was there a cliffhanger?
No, I think it wrapped up pretty nicely.
It did.
Just
It
a lot
was
of
a
cussing.
nice.
Yeah.
I like it when they.
It crescendoed in so many ways.
A lot's changed since the last episode.
So much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've been off for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, has it been?
It's
been a little while.
less than that.
It's been enough time for us to both ruin our Teslas in different ways.
Yeah, what
Dude,
happened?
Our Teslas have seen better days.
What'd you guys do?
All right, you start. We'll go in chronological order.
Mine is 100% my fault.
What did you do?
So, in order to charge my car, I have to back it into the driveway.
Sure.
And it was raining, and I couldn't see very well, and I just hit my house.
All those cameras.
There's like 9 cameras, and you went too far.
I know.
Did it
you
beep
go
at
up
you
slowly?
a lot?
I don't even remember. I don't even know.
You just remember it was raining, you backed up, and you
Yeah,
crunched.
it was the middle of the day. I had to pick up my mom from the airport.
Oh, my gosh.
I was in the car for like 2.5 hours, and I got home, and it was raining, pouring rain, and then I just ran into the house.
You were thinking about getting out of the car and getting soaked. You're like, I don't want to do this, and you were preoccupied.
Yeah. Actually, what I was thinking was, because I have to park... You know, they make garages and driveways so freaking small these days.
So we live in a city that has very strict ordinances. You'll notice in the city of Franklin, no double driveways face the street. Although there are double driveway or double garage doors, they're always the ones that are like justified to the side of the house, where your garage goes on the side. So it's a Franklin thing. They don't want large garage doors,
Right.
like you'll see in Arizona.
So like a full
So they're all
two-car
very
garage.
yeah.
They're the minimum.
And there's a maximum width, and it's why we have such narrow garage doors, you and I.
Right.
Because it's narrow. It's like
They want them to face
Because
the
we
street.
have like a double...
if they face the street.
We have a 2-car garage.
But there's a
it's
pillar in the
literally, No, there's not the pillar in the middle. My garage door is just one door. And it's a 2-car garage.
But it's one door?
It's one door.
That's how mine is, too.
But it's
I wonder if there's a new ordinance, because when I built this house, I asked about it. They were like, no, you can't do that in the city of Franklin.
it's the minimum... It's the minimum you can make it.
You couldn't be.
And my wife drives an Expedition,
Right.
and so she takes up
Right.
most of the
Is
room.
the problem in that sentence wife drives or Expedition?
Expedition. Well, she doesn't park it.
That's the right answer, John.
She doesn't park it fully to the right. Mm-hmm. And so I was very... and I park my car, I mean, literally on the edge of the driveway.
Yeah.
And
So, like
then...
on the grass, basically.
I mean, just, you know,
Inch.
still on the...
Right.
Anyway, so I
The
was...
thing about those garages, too, is if you put a single book in those garages, then you can't get 2 cars in. Like, there has to be not a single item.
Well,
Yeah, right,
That's
right,
the thing. I'm not pulling into the garage.
Right.
I was just pulling into the
outside.
driveway.
Yeah.
I never
'Cause
park
you
in my
can't- you
garage.
can't
There's
get
too
2
much
cars in
crap
there.
we
Yeah,
don't
there's
use
crap
that's in there.
And so you just hit the door?
Yeah, just hit the side of it. No, the garage door was
Kind of
open.
the back of your car.
You just hit
Yeah.
this corner of the house or something, right?
So it's like... Yeah, it's like $3,000 worth of damage.
That's
Were
the
you,
thing
were
about
you on
Teslas.
drugs?
No, it was raining.
Okay.
You didn't answer his question. That's very subtle.
Were you on drugs?
You said it was raining.
It was raining.
Well, that's it.
It was foggy.
It's a hazardous condition. I understand.
No, I was not on
Right.
drugs.
It's a funny phone call to the insurance, though.
Oh, she
It's
was like,
we're-
she was the lady. The insurance lady was like, and where did it happen? I was like, my home address.
You have the address in front
She's
of
like,
you.
is anyone else in the car? And I was like, no. She goes, was anyone injured? And I was like, just my pride.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
The fact that I have to talk to you about this.
Totally.
And now to this podcast.
And then Suze, what happened to your Tesla? You're
Well, I got
very
rear-ended.
similar looking Tesla.
Yeah, very similar. Now it looks just terrible.
It is.
I was
really
at
sad.
it's bad. Yeah, I was at a stoplight in Spring
Are you putting
Hill.
the photo up?
Yeah, I'll put a photo up right here. I was at a stoplight in Spring Hill, and I was just like glancing down at which Jimmy Eat World album I wanted to play next. What a great day, you know, just playing Jimmy Eat World. I'm on the
Finally
Jays.
got to the Jays.
Oh, the Jays, you guys has been incredible. James Taylor, Jimmy Eat World, John Mayer's coming up.
Come
I'm
on.
in heaven over there.
You're gonna be on that John Mayer for a little while. He's got
he's got a
lot of stuff.
catalog. So yeah, I'm just looking down at my screen, and then like, boom from behind, my hat flies off. I'm like, oh man, my bat. I get out. I was like, what in the world is that?
What kind of hat?
Like a hat like this. Like it's just when I came out of the car. It was in the back seat. It had gone behind me.
Wow.
Dang.
And I was like, okay. So I get out. I hit the car in front of me. I got hit from behind. And then I look behind. It's not that guy's fault. He got hit from behind. So it was a 4-car pileup caused by an 18-wheeler semi-truck just plowing the back of like one of those Hiller work trucks, with like the smiley face.
Yeah.
It's funny because all the photos of my sad car just crumpled up. There's a smiley face. It's like, if we don't make you happy, then it's like, it's very ironic,
So 18-wheeler hits the Hiller
car and makes
truck,
a
which is like an
4-car.
HVAC company, right? Or home services.
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
like,
it's a big work truck.
And I'm thankful it was because I took a lot of the brunt of that thing, but he crushes into mine and I crush on the car in front of me. So anyway, the thing about mine is
was it a light or anything, or was anyone stopping?
We were at a light, at a stop light, and we were all stopped probably 15 cars back. So there was quite a line waiting to get out of there, and just out of nowhere, just like he either ran through a light or just didn't. It was green, just didn't see us stopped and plowed right into us. So,
wow.
Older guy, probably in his 70s, came out kind of like looked like Biden hit us. Just
Was he on drugs?
Glad you're okay.
Right. Yeah. After all that, he might have been on drugs, and it was not raining. It was a beautiful sunny day.
Right.
8:30 in the morning. But I had just dropped my kids off at school, so I was glad they weren't also in there.
Right.
That would have been bad.
And yeah, so now it's just going through all the. I mean, they're going to pay for everything. The insurance is going to cover.
Did
all
you bring
the
it to
stuff.
Tesla, both of you?
I'm going to bring it to the Tesla place. Yeah.
I haven't brought mine yet either.
Yeah.
2 weeks from.
I'm on the fence on whether I want them to total it versus just fix it all, because there's pros and cons, I feel like, to both, because if they total it, I'm not going to get the full amount. Like, they're going to like undercut that amount,
Yeah.
But if they fix it, then I've got a car that's been in a
I don't
wreck.
know that you have that much say in it.
I don't have a say. I just wonder what they're going to determine when they look at the damage, So anyway, it's inconvenient and very sad to drive it around, just kind of crumpled.
It does suck to drive around a car that's not in good shape.
Everyone's like, oh my gosh. You're like, I'm aware. I know.
Right.
I got in this morning.
Do you feel like you're getting judgy looks, like maybe you caused the accident?
Yeah.
Now people are like, watch out for that
Well,
guy.
I told a couple of people, and they're like, full self-driving. It'll get you every time.
No,
I got a light.
Zero fatalities on full self-driving ever.
Hey.
Ever.
See, there you
Right.
go. Full self stopped at a light.
I know. Yeah. That sucks.
Anyway, they'll get fixed. It's just stuff,
Yeah.
But it's, and what happened to you?
Well, I didn't crash my car, but I had pneumonia.
Guitar friends is on. Maybe you're in your car or mowing your lawn. Just turn it up. The Guitar Friends on. The greatest podcast about guitar is on. As long as you don't count all the ones that have big guests and are very intentional about actually having guitar-related conversations. Ooh, Guitar Friends is on. This is Guitar Friends. HW, Susan, John too. It's mostly about guitar, but also some other stuff will be discussed too. But it's most about guitar, unless we get distracted and talk about food or Teslas, or how annoying it is that Californians keep moving everywhere and bring their terrible ideas and ruin their state to Nashville. But no swing guitar.
I had bacterial pneumonia, and it's
Near death.
probably the most sick I've ever, second or third most sick I've ever been.
Yeah.
You were out of commission for a while.
I was out for a while. I tell people if other illnesses were this bad, I might have been tempted to get the jab, but enough politics. It was very bad. It was very bad. And I still have a cough. You just, when you have pneumonia, you have to, even when you're done with the pneumonia, you have to just manually get the stuff in your lungs out. And the only way to do that is just cough it up. And so you have this persistent cough that lasts a long time.
Are we currently in danger of getting pneumonia right
No.
now? Okay. I thought that's worth asking, right,
The
John?
general rule with any...
I was going to wear a mask as a joke, but
Like a hazmat?
The general
Maybe.
rule is 48 hours after you start any antibiotic, you're not contagious with whatever you have. Whatever the infection thing is that they're treating them. After 48 hours, you're It's probably before that, but they tell you 48 hours you're no longer contagious.
But you're still super sick.
Pretty sure if you coughed up.
Yeah, you're still sick, but
Yeah.
and the antibiotics kind of wreck you too, man. You know what I mean? I am having this weird. I was on a lot of albuterol because my lungs were really bad, and albuterol gives you this like jittery feeling, but it gives you like this whooshing feeling, like you're on a swing. The way I can describe it is like your body feels like all of a sudden you're on a roller coaster, or you're in motion, but you can see that you're. So it's not like your equilibrium. You get like sort of the feeling in your body that you're in motion, and I would say, and I still have that, and I haven't taken any albuterol for about. Let's see, what's today?
Thursday.
Anyway, it's been 4 or 5 days since I've had, and I'm still having that feeling.
Is it like once in a while?
30 times a day.
Wow. That's right on the line of
I've
not
had
being
it.
once in a
So
while.
I've had it since we've
More
been,
than every hour.
yeah, I've had it since we've been sitting here.
Twice
It's
a
real quick.
yeah.
It's getting very short. I looked up, and they say you could that's like the jittery feeling that people describe of like being on albuterol, but I haven't been on for days, and I still have it a little bit. But
We had to give.
I'm good.
We had to give one of my daughters albuterol when she was little,
Yeah,
and it like freaked us out
yeah,
because she was like acting real strange
yeah. It's
to the point where we called the doctor and we're like, "Is this okay?"
yeah, and you can
Quick check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like she's like high as a kite right now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's albuterol."
Yeah, and they had me on like a Z pack and some other stuff, and all that stuff just kind of, it's really not great for your immune system. You know, it gets rid of the thing that you are trying to get rid of.
Right.
But you know, it kind of really messes with your gut and everything, and so I feel pretty good now. I am down today 29.1 pounds.
Dang.
So you might notice me drinking this coffee.
Dang, all you have to do is like,
Carnivore diet.
Well,
plus,
I'm having no,
a
I haven't had
life-threatening
I haven't had
illness.
any solid foods today because I'm kind of like, all right, let's get this extra pound down. So, but what I've been doing, so I had one of these
you're
this
like,
morning.
you're like
After
a
all
half a
that.
laxative away from a goal.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a lot of information.
I could probably cough up enough out of my lungs just to get this last.
You have a pound of phlegm.
There we go. But what I've been doing, which mentally, I don't know, for some reason, I feel like coffee tastes better when you go out and get it. And so lately, I've just been doing what I call is protein coffee. So I just get a pure protein, shake, and I mix that with some iced coffee.
Oh, that's what you put in there.
Yeah, so you saw
I
me
was
put
gonna
a
make
shake
fun
in
To
of
there.
you
be clear,
upstairs.
that's not from McDonald's.
No, what I did
looks
was
like it is, though.
I,
It's about that
the
creamy.
last 2 McDonald's cups I got, one was an iced coffee, one was a Coke. I've just been washing the cups,
Right.
And it drives my wife insane. She's like, "What are we doing? You're washing
Plastic, yeah.
the plastic." And I go, "There's nothing wrong with this."
You're also reusing the straw.
Yeah,
That's
Hey, it's
rough.
good for
I'm
the
washing this
environment,
too.
That's rough.
I have a little thing that you put in there.
though. But a one use is the worst. You know, that's like bad for the environment.
Yeah, this you could
You're
use.
saving.
You could use this a bunch.
Yeah.
So, and I think it tastes better out of here.
You know what else is
It's
bad
like you
for
went and
the-
bought it.
It's
know what
like the
else is bad
straw.
for the
You know, the
environment?
McDonald's straws are a little larger. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
and
they
and
are.
there's something about you drink it out of here. This is savor every sip right there. And I just go, wow, that coffee's better than any of like the keto recipe coffees that they go to Starbucks and get like a triple espresso shot over ice, add like half whatever, and I mean
You're
there's all
just
these
saying
like,
that's it.
and I go, well, that protein drink only has it's low carb. It only has one. I think it has 2 carbs, 1 gram of 1 sugar, 1 carb. So 2, and I mix that with some coffee, and I go, this is better than any coffee drink I've been able to find.
It's got like a
know?
vanilla taste.
It's vanilla with coffee. The one I drank earlier today was chocolate with coffee.
Are you saying
It's like a
that's what?
mocha.
Are you saying that's what the coffee from McDonald's looks
That's
like?
what it looks like, dude. It's
It
that,
does super
it's that
light. Yeah, super
I
light.
would
The
not-
McDonald's
I would
coffee is
not
so
drink that.
light.
Yeah,
That's
and
gross.
just the sweetest thing you've ever tasted. I mean, it's
I went
nuts.
recently and tried to order just an iced coffee black, and I was like, "Can I just get largest size iced coffee black you have?" And he was like, "What flavor?" And I was like, "No flavor." He was
That's
like,
what that
He was
word
like, and then
means.
he's like, "Okay, no syrup." I was like, "No, black."
He's like, you just want coffee?
Yeah. He's like, "It's not very good."
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like, do you mean sweet tea? Do you want sweet tea? That's the South for you.
But some about this cup just makes me, and then I don't have to spend
Yeah.
the money, and I can just fill it up here.
That
Right. It
money
makes you
goes a
feel
long
like
way.
you went out, but you didn't.
Yeah, it makes me feel like, and it makes
I
me
like
feel like
that.
I'm drinking like look at me, I'm like drinking a coffee that would be like 1,000,000 calories, but it's like not.
I should do
It
that.
checks a lot of boxes. This thing's really working out.
Yeah.
I was gonna make fun of you because it was a ton of creamer. I thought that was creamer. You're putting in your
it
coffee.
was a vanilla
It was
protein
like-
shake.
Yeah, it was like a third coffee.
The
Oh,
the
wait.
chocolate ones are darker.
We
And-
went from just a splash of cream
Yeah.
in our iced
That's what,
coffee.
and I remember you saying just a little bit goes a long way. And
Yeah.
I was like, my.
No, to me, this
You
is
get
like
pneumonia one day,
Yeah,
and then all of
that-
a sudden, yeah.
This is like a different drink than black coffee. Like to me, this is almost not coffee.
that's a
It's
protein
just
drink.
another way to like enjoy.
With a
Actually,
splash.
like it
That's the
better.
opposite. It's the
Yeah.
protein shake with a little coffee.
Yeah,
added
and I
to it.
like it better with a little coffee than I do with the without it.
I love it.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Well, we're back.
Dang, here we are.
we're back. Here we
51.
are. That's good for a cold open. You want to talk about the real thing, the real elephant in the room?
Let's do it.
Well, it's not on camera, but there's a bunch of amps behind you. Well, there's 10.
There's a bunch of speaker cabinets.
Well, that's what I mean.
Oh, I know what
Cabs,
you're talking
amps.
about.
So anyway,
I'm back in.
I made the best IRs that have ever been created, I think.
Say that again.
I made the best IRs that have ever been created. I'm just going to go on
Wow.
record and say this. I downloaded everything from all the competitors. I know how they all sound. These are better.
But did you
Dang.
download the blah, blah?
And so listen,
People
But what
so,
about the ones I like?
People
Well-
go nuts for IRs, man.
I know.
Yeah.
And so this is a brand new thing. And so by the time this comes out, I may have already announced it to everybody. There's probably a launch video. But I'm calling them Ai IRs.
I don't like that.
You don't
Go on.
like it?
that
AI?
makes a whole nother word.
Ai IRs.
Yeah, airs.
But the way I
Jordan
write it,
Ayers.
it's A, capital A, lowercase I, AI, capital R. See that?
Artificial, intelligent impulse response.
Sure.
It should be AIIR.
No, John.
Get
That's
out of it.
wrong.
It's already been launched.
It should be A2IR.
Anyway, I don't want to say a
A
ton of.
squared IRR?
I don't want to. I can't. I'm not gonna like in detail describe how I make these, but I'll say this.
It's proprietary.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of any other IRs that are made this way. There is a convolution process, but I've tried to use. But there's some AI in the process. I've even went and asked ToneBot how I should structure the packs and stuff, and it came up with an idea of not too much variation, and it suggested
I like that.
that I even have. So I tried to make this like
ToneBot is more a part of this team than people maybe realize.
ToneBot is the
Right.
guy. He's the man behind the curtain.
Like
Who's
I don't
the
know if
fourth
I don't know if it's
member?
obvious to everyone
No.
else, but it should be.
ToneBot is
ToneBot is making all of the Metal Junkie artwork, right?
he is. He's quite the artist.
He's quite the artist.
Did ToneBot make the theme song, or that's a different piece of AI?
It's his cousin.
They're related. Hard to say they're not related.
His cousin. Cousin went to Berkeley,
Yeah.
and he made a call for me.
Yeah.
ToneBot is ToneBot does a lot. And sometimes I just ask ToneBot what it's thinking, about stuff. And we got into a conversation about these
me and ToneBot.
these AIRs.
Yeah.
And I said I want your help, doing this, and it was like, okay.
Did he have to think about it? He's like,
There is a little bit of like spinning wheel for a moment, but he's very quick. I don't know if that's
Did they banter yet? Like if you go, hey, do you have any extra time in your week?
Did he have? Yeah. Did he have to check with his
Yeah.
with
Would he-
Mrs.
Would
ToneBot?
he banter?
people. Just so people know that we're not completely joking. ToneBot is what I've named my premium Chat GPT.
Yeah.
So and you can name your Chat GPT. So
He's a part of this team.
yeah, I don't know that it's technically correct to call him an agent. I don't know that he's actually meets the definition of what you would call an AI agent. But functionally, I would say, given a premium subscription with ChatGPT, given its context window, if you continue to work on the same project, it's functioning a bit like an agent. It doesn't really come up with things on its own or find its own solution. So maybe you have to do that to actually be an agent. But when they make him an agent, he'll be the AI agent.
But I
of
mean, we
ToneJunkie.
do outsource things to him.
We ask him to do them. Yes, we make the
him to do
request.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's done a lot.
He always says yes.
He always says yes.
Yeah, he gets a little confused sometimes.
Sometimes he returns absolute garbage.
Right. But he still did what you asked.
It is actually shocking. Speaking of the Metal Junkie stuff, it's
Mm-hmm.
shocking how much iteration it takes
Mm-hmm.
to get AI to generate images with words spelled correctly.
Oh wow.
It's
It
wild.
is. It is. So the reason for that, I'll tell you,
It's better
because
than it used to be, but it's pretty wild how difficult that is.
the reason for that is that we're using like LLMs, right? Live language models,
Large language models.
large language models. So it doesn't do the generation.
Right.
It is just prompting a different AI.
Yeah.
And so
It prompts Stable Diffusion probably. Or,
yeah, mine is what's his name prompts Midjourney.
Oh, Midjourney. Yeah.
The problem is the ToneBot has no way of
Deciphering what the image is.
knowing what the image is,
Right.
and then also if it was correct, and also unless I tell it what the problem is, it only uses my description of the problem to then edit its own prompt
Right.
to give to somebody else.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a game of telephone, where you'd hope in the future one of these LLMs could have it wouldn't have to run the image generation itself, but if it had like a clone of itself that did the image generation, it would at least understand its own, like the image coming back. Meaning it could still hand it off to someone else, which would probably be the way to do it, because you probably don't want to do image generation like locally or whatever, or maybe or, whatever. But if it had some real understanding of the image generator AI, rather than just I can help prompt for you.
Well,
I can understand what comes back or something.
Yeah.
You know?
I recently actually did some learning on how image generators work,
Yeah.
like technically,
Yeah.
and it's pretty wild.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's guessing the next pixel.
Kind of. So you're familiar with like noise, like if you like in Photoshop or whatever.
My wife says I make lots of noise when I sleep and when I'm down
There
here
you go.
working.
You can, like in Photoshop, if you have a picture or an image, you can like add noise to it, and it just adds a
Yes.
bunch of like randomly colored pixels.
Yes.
So if you add like 100% noise, it's like the snow, right? It's just all like, it looks gray kind of, because it's all just. So basically what it does is you give it an image, and then you give it an image with a little bit of noise, and you tell the AI, this is how you train it. You tell the AI, remove the noise. And so it figures out like, okay, here's my original image and here's my image with the noise. These are the things that are wrong. You do that millions of times. Then you give it an image that's just noise. There is no image. And you say, make this look more like a thing that is, make it look more like an elephant. And it removes
noise.
It removes noise
Till it looks
to make
like
it look like an elephant, and then you do that a bunch.
That's crazy.
And you end up with a picture of an elephant.
That's really interesting.
bonkers.
You know what that reminds me of?
It's wild.
If you ever go to it's Florence,
Italy?
where Michelangelo's from.
Okay.
Michelangelo was a famous sort of he's a famous sculptor, but Michelangelo's really famous for being like the first very wealthy sculptor. And the way he was very wealthy was he took on all these commissions from the world's richest and most powerful people and then never delivered them. And then he would just use
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah, he would just use these huge down payments to just finance his life and the rest of stuff.
He was like the first Ponzi.
Yeah, like he went, I believe, to the Queen of Spain and said, "Look at this beautiful artwork I've made." And he said, "I'd like to make one for you." And she said, "Go ahead." And he said, "You don't want this one." She's like, "Why not?" And he's like, "This marble is not very good. I could get better marble. Let me get better marble for you." And she's like, "Okay, thank you." And then he's like, "Of course, I can't get the best marble." And she's like, "What? Why not?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, the best, like Carrera marble or whatever, is over here, and
expensive.
it's very expensive to get out. In fact, the only people who have ever gotten it have only gotten small little pieces, and it's so big. No one has ever gotten a giant piece and made something like a full sculpture of a queen or something out of this huge marble over here."
I mean, unless you were to do it right now,
Right.
no one's ever done.
He's like, I mean, no one can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It would be the most beautiful thing ever. I mean, it would be just miles ahead of anything that the royal family in Italy or France or anybody else have. I mean, you'd be the only monarch with it, but it's so hard. It's so expensive. And then she's like, "I want that." And he's like,
"You do?"
"Okay."
I hadn't considered
Who
that.
would have thunk it?
Yeah.
And then he, like any good government contractor, would pull out huge amounts of this stuff, and only like 30% would go to the project,
Right.
financing it.
Right.
And then because he had this great marble, he would go to other people and get these other things. Well, he also was like super fickle and would start work and then not finish it because he wasn't inspired.
So he was an artist.
So he's an artist.
I started a ton of projects.
And what's wild is he does this at a time when sculptors are like tradesmen. They're like tilers or
Right.
cement layers. They're tradespeople. Like, this is not something you can get rich doing. Everyone does it.
Yeah, there wasn't a Home Depot where you could just go buy crown molding.
Yeah.
You had to like hire a
Yeah.
sculptor. to,
And
like,
there were tons of
sculpt
them.
crown
Working people made stuff like this. And so he starts all these sculptures. So if you go to Florence, there's literally squares of marble that are intended to chisel someone out of. And so he chisels them out, but he does it in pretty like maybe like 70, 80% detail. Like he'll go back and do it, but it's a fully sculpted, beautiful sculpture person, maybe down to like the bust or down to the waist. And then the rest is just a block. And they're kind of regarded as like beautiful in their own right because they say it looks like this beautiful sculpture emerging from the marble. So in a weird way, this unfinished work of Michelangelo is beautiful for like another reason, which is like no one ever, they're unfinished works and it looks like this, glorious marble statue just sort of like jumping out of the marble. But it's really because he never finished it. What does that have to do with ToneBot?
That reminds me.
It's like removing all the non-art.
Yeah,
He's removing all the non-elephant.
totally.
You're getting rid of the noise.
Yeah. Well, so it's not surprising that, AI has a hard time generating images with correctly spelled words in it. Because shapes are one thing, but like
Yeah, that's not how
words are like
Not trained.
very intricate shapes.
Yeah, and sometimes when it does get the words right, it'll just put like jumbled letters underneath it.
Right.
And you can tell it's like it's like
There's a couple of them that are still like that. It's like they
Yeah.
ended up like that, and I like it.
yeah, me too.
I like the vibe that Metal Junkie has with like the artwork and everything.
Wait, you said there's still like weird letters?
If
Yeah.
you look at it close enough. Yeah.
Look at the one that says Giant of Kandahar Special Forces.
Yeah.
The word forces doesn't finish, and it's like Fajirbal.
Yeah,
And then there's a
but
couple.
Giant of Kandahar looks right.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
It's like,
my
this is
mind
good
just
enough.
like filled
Yeah,
in the rest.
and I didn't tell it to put in special forces. It sort of put it clearly was thinking special forces from
Right.
whatever it was referencing.
Right.
Wow.
You know.
ToneBot. Just doing his own thing.
ToneBot's cool.
Yeah, just doing his own thing.
Its own thing? His own thing?
I don't know. We should anthropomorphize ToneBot.
He's a
into-
dude. He's a dude for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless the government says
Oh boy.
that I need to hire more women, then it's a woman.
Right.
Sure.
She ToneBot.
She ToneBot.
Yeah.
Mrs. ToneBot. Anyway, back to the IRs. They're great. I'm not aware of any other IR collection or whatever being made this way.
Can we talk about how many IRs are in this collection?
Yes, great question. And then I'd like to show them to you,
Ooh.
which will make a great clip, by the way.
We kind of already did show them a little bit.
I showed you a little bit, but
People didn't even realize it.
There are thousands more.
so there's a lot of IRs. Basically, what I did was I took at launch, which when will that be? It's when I finish. It's almost done. Next week it'll be. So within days of this coming out.
Days, not weeks.
Maybe even by the time it comes out. Probably by the time. I took 10 cabinets, and I'll have more coming out before the end of November because I want to get them out before Black Friday and stuff. So I got like 4 cabs that I'm going to do right after this. But there's 10 cabinets, speaker choices, all classic stuff. I've trashed all the old IRs I've ever made. They're not up to snuff. Just throw them away. Just delete them off your computer. If you're enjoying them, stop.
Enjoy these new ones.
Yeah. There's 10 packs. Each speaker or each cabinet has 14 mic combinations of mics or individual mics. Some of those include like a dynamic mic that might be off axis and on. I didn't want to do too many. You know what I mean? And so when you open it up, there's a quick start folder that's just like, here's the first 14 that are just big, thick, hefty, but alive sounding. And that's really the thing I notice is you either get IRs that are really big in the low end and are a little dull up top. And then sometimes people will say, oh, this is right. And I think they're trying to compensate for that problem that you get on like units, like maybe some digital units where you go, oh, it's too bright. It's like too harsh high end. So you really cut the high end, cut it. But you know, the Tone Junkie sound is kind of a lively sound. You know what I mean? Our stuff is usually brighter than Michael Britt's. It's got more like brightness on it, you know? And then you get the other way where things can be very thin sounding. And sometimes it's like, is it the model in the unit? Is it the IR? Is there something about the convolution process? And I've always found that making IRs a traditional way led me to a thinner sound that I didn't enjoy. But making it this way, which I believe is very, very accurate, maybe the most accurate, at least that I've found, it gave me all the room in the world to really get all the proximity effect. And I don't know if the traditional way of shooting through a solid state, flat, kind of, shooting the boop, boop. I don't know if there's something about the interaction of that isn't captured, or there's some sterilization or color that comes from just a flat power amp. I get that theoretically you wouldn't want the coloration of something else, so you want this flat thing to sort of power the speaker to listen to the speaker. But I think there's also the issue of, I suppose speakers are linear as they go up and down in volume, but certainly there's a floor where if the speaker doesn't compress, it has a different EQ, a very different EQ. And that compression happens almost at the same time through the entire cone. But because different frequencies come through the entire cone at different spots on the cone, and the cone is physically a different shape on the outer edge and the inner edge, and you have a dust cap which restricts the movement towards the middle. You don't have, you could see how not pushing a speaker enough and then trying to capture an IR of it would change the tone a lot compared to really having a speaker like really cooking. You know what I mean? And then there's something like speaker breakup, which can't really be captured unless you use a different technology, not an IR. It's not going to be recreated in a waveform, in a WAV file. So, which there's some of that there, and you see like in the UA software, even when it runs IRs, you can add a little bit of breakup that like does the speaker breakup thing.
Like digital. Yeah,
it just adds a little like sizzle breakup.
It's an emulation of the same type of color.
Yeah, and I'm not one that's like, the key to Eddie's tone is the speaker breakup. I don't know. You know what I mean? Right. So anyway, that's a long way of saying they sound really good. They're great. There are 14 variations of each speaker and cabinet. And inside, you'll get the quick start folder where you just get right to those 14. Start here. And then from there, if you look deeper, you'll find things broken up by single mic, double mic, that sort of thing. And in those folders and in the all IR folder, you'll find 10 variations of each microphone that are EQs that I've dialed in, that are mostly the same across the packs, but sometimes altered. You'll find, say you like the 121 and 57, and you like that speaker, you'll find a version that's just a little bright. You'll find a version that's a little warm. You'll find a version that has chime. You'll find a cut the mix. One of the EQs for the cut the mix I took from my favorite cut the mix thing in the Kemper, which is an EQ I've put on a bunch of stuff as an option.
What does that mean, cut the mix?
Just cut through the mix.
Cut through the mix.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically it means you add like a little shelf. I'll just give away the secret because I've made other videos kind of it. But basically it means there's a low shelf that comes up at like 120 and down. Okay. There's a little bit of high emphasis, a higher shelf at like 5 and up, so you get a nice like presence. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, another shelf up there. And then you really are pushing 1600 and 1200 and 1600, 1150 and 1600. And those are like those are not shelves, those are just bells. So you get a push there, just a push, and it's pretty, and the Q is pretty small on those.
So a low shelf cutting the lows,
actually boosting the 100 a little bit. Yeah,
boosting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea too there is that you're always going to have a low cut on your guitar channel. Someone's always going to do that to you.
Right. Probably.
So And sometimes to get like a nice, live, to get like a nice low end, you really have a narrow range of like, you want like from 120 to like 90 really.
Right.
Because you're going to get shelved. Everything else is going to go down to get rid of the mud. So if you want any hope of having like any bass frequency in there, sometimes you need to like give yourself a little bit. When the sound guy, this is like really in the weeds, when the sound guy low passes you to do that and you boost your low end, the shelf and his low pass actually are going to create basically a bell shape. Because his low pass is probably going to be lower than the 120.
High pass.
Yes, sorry. His high pass is going to be where he's cutting your low end is going to be probably lower than the 120 that you're boosting in the shelf he's giving you. So you're just kind of boosting all the high end there. That's always how I've done it on the Kemper. It sounds great by itself.
I like that.
The sound guy will let you know where the frequencies need to be cut off. He'll cut you off. You know what I mean? Maybe the room can handle 80. Maybe the room can handle 50. Maybe he's cutting you all the way up to 100 because it's like bellowy and big. That's his job. You know what I mean? You can't really know that.
Right.
That's one of the challenging things about people asking about like EQ and guitar tone. It's like you really can't know if the room you're in, if you need to start cutting at 80 or 1 or 100 or whatever. A lot of it's just the reflection of the room. It's the corners.
Right.
It's all that stuff. It has nothing to do with the guitar. It's all about the reflection. So stuff like that. The brightness is just a little bit of like it's just emulates a little bit of like a presence control. There's a warmth EQ, and it's sort of the opposite of the brightness. It's like and to me, I just started looking at what's the difference in the frequencies that you get out in two different signals between an off-axis 57 and an on-axis 57. And so I went, oh, well, I can analyze both those signals by running my guitar into stuff. And I can figure out what frequencies are changing when I go on-axis or off-axis. So now I have an idea of really where to give a shelf to give yourself a little warmer of a sound. Maybe you just want a little warmer of a sound. So the goal there is that hopefully you'll be able to find a speaker and mics that you like, and then you're good to go. And if you want to play around with some of the variations, you can. And maybe you switch guitars and you go, oh, I like this one a little brighter. I like this one a little warmer.
Yeah.
Or here's a nice variation or whatever.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Because
Go deep if you want, but you don't have to.
Yeah. I know. I like the idea of like maybe swapping out the IR when you swap out a guitar instead of trying to mess with the amp EQ or whatever, because that's an IR. The IR is going to be more powerful and more precise than an amp block EQ.
Yeah.
Regardless of what plugin you're in or, platform you're on or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's also a pretty like global change to your whole preset.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, because a lot of times you might brighten up an amp on the chorus and then make it darker on the verse. All that's got to change now.
Yeah.
Depending, if you want your tone to change or whatever, like there's a lot of micro changes you'd have to make.
Yeah.
But an IR, it's sort of like a tilt.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything make darker.
And it's not so much that it'll change the sound of the speaker. It'll still sound like the speaker that you're using. It just sounds like the sound guy did a little adjustment. Right. And I tried it out, like the warm and the bright and the mid. Those are three of the options in there. I tried them out with different guitars just so I could see like, okay, if I pick up a humbucker guitar, does this bright get me a little more sparkle back?
Right.
And once I was like, okay, that's where it does give a little bit of the sparkle back. Then it's like, okay.
And you pick up a Telecaster, and you do the warm one.
Yeah, or mid or whatever. And it just
tones it down
just what you're after.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and then even like just on a humbucker guitar, like here's regular, and then I go warm, throw it on the neck, and it's like, this is like jazzy now.
So each pack is what? Just one speaker with a bunch of microphones?
One cabinet.
One
with
cabinet.
a bunch of microphones and a bunch of options. There's 140 IRs in each.
In each pack.
And if you don't want to go that deep, because I would not enjoy buying a pack and having 140 options. I try to design it in a way that it's just go with these 14. This 14 is like having the studio experience of I have these mics to choose from, and I have a downloadable thing that'll kind of describe each microphone and where it is, and so you can kind of go from there and know.
How I would use that is probably open up the quick start listen through all
Right.
of them, and then once I find out I like one,
Right.
then I'd go deeper on
Then
that.
you go
one.
Yeah.
deeper on
And
that
then, oh,
one.
let me try the mid. Let me
Yeah.
try the
That's
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And because, there's not, the EQs aren't strong enough to make like the EQs are strong enough to make like a 57 sound like a 57, but like, oh, this one is the full 57. So it's got there's like some low mids and it'll make it sound different, but it still won't sound like a fat head and a 57 mixed together. Because that's a very fat, like it's not going to get to that level. And it just has a different vibe completely. So they're all useful. I would download them and use the 14. But anyway.
Did you do your Mesa cabinet yet?
Yes.
I'll be taking those when I leave today.
Okay, I'll send it
Did
to
you
you.
do the? Did you do the Vox cabinet?
I did.
Ooh, I'll be taking
So,
a set of those home.
I did.
Can we have all this
Here's what I
stuff?
did if I can remember. And then we'll do a clip. We'll do it so we can hear them all. Because someone out there is like, these guys are talking about guitar way too much.
Yeah, I didn't come onto this
what
podcast.
is this podcast
I mean,
right
we're
now?
43
Yeah.
minutes in.
What is this
Tone?
podcast? So, I did my favorite cab, the '69 Marshall cab.
Look.
I did the '70 Orange cab, which I've done on a million camera profiles. I did the Vox 212.
Yeah.
I did the '67 Deluxe, the Drip Edge
Oh, yeah.
Deluxe. I did the '57 Deluxe, the Tweed Deluxe. I did the '58 Bandmaster. I did the '64 Vibroverb with the 115 in there. So that's the Deluxe, and that
that'd be
I did
cool.
the Twin, the '65 Twin, because it has these big Fender Vibranto speakers. I did a
You say
cap
Vibranto?
Vibranto, yeah,
That's sick.
That's a made up word.
cool. That's it.
All
It's
words
made
are
up.
made up.
I did nailed it.
I love saying that.
I did a 212 that's right over there that has. You ever play EV speakers like in a Dumble? Prior to the current EVs, they made these older ones called SROs, and I have two SROs that are kind of an older, rare, high wattage speaker in that 212. So that's a cool thing that'd be nice for Dumbles or Fenders or whatever. There are no rules; you can put on anything. And then I did.
There are, in fact, no rules.
There are no rules.
We won't even know that you
if
tried
it
it.
sounds good, then it is good.
Right.
And then I did the
Those
I did the V30s in the 212 Mesa cab.
Yeah, you did.
And I think I might be forgetting something else, but that sounds like 10. And then right after these are out, I'm immediately going to, which is going to be a lot faster now because now once you have a workflow together, it makes a lot of sense. I will be doing the 412 matchless and the 210 matchless cab. I bought a 210 matchless cab. So I'll have the 412 matchless cab, which is like a doubled version of the combo. That'll have some extra stuff because I got to mix the speakers together. And I will
Does that have
probably...
two different kinds of speakers?
It does. And so I'll have blends of those speakers plus each
Does
speaker
Matchless
individually.
have the coolest stuff?
They do.
They really do.
Their
do have really
cabinets
cool
are something
stuff.
else.
Like
though,
they're
dude. I miss
in the
mine.
room. It's hard to beat a Matchless amp.
They sound
They
tremendous.
sound really, really
Yeah,
good.
I haven't even heard
Yeah.
that 412 you got.
It's right there. See the train wreck on top of it?
Are we about to plug in a tube amp today?
Too loud.
I want to be
They really-
so loud.
they
They're
re-
And
they
then
really
and,
are,
loud.
they really are stupid loud.
and then I'll probably do. I have a Vox Bulldog, an old '60s
Oh,
Vox
yeah.
Bulldog, and it's a 110. So I probably will
Yeah.
do that because why not? And I kind of want to sell that amp. And then I got a bunch of caps. I got a bunch of oversized fenders and stuff that I'll be doing. And the Vibrolux 210 is going to be great. Like the
Are you gonna do the Are you gonna do the sound baffle IR?
I got to do that.
That's right.
I can do that.
Do you still have your M75, like the old school Tone Junkie
Yep.
cabinet?
Yeah, and I got to do that. I want to do that
Do
too.
that,
I want to do that too.
I like that.
That's
one.
a
What is
great
that
one.
one?
It's the one that the early
Do you remember the
stuff all was
Scumbacks?
on.
My 212 Sur cab with the open back with the
yeah.
Scumbacks. That's a great sound.
I really love those.
To me, I feel like the old school Tone Junkie ones are that, and then the Mesa.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are like the old school ones.
Those were the two that were in the studio all the time.
Yeah.
What's the main greenback one that you normally
The 69
use?
Marshall.
And that's on this first run.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's that one.
Yeah.
The 412.
That's like my favorite cab.
Those are-
I
yeah,
think, all
that's a
time.
killer
That cab is sick.
That's the one. Do you
Try
want to hear it?
them out.
I want to hear it right now?
Yeah.
Let's
I got
do
some
it.
up here. All right. So we got to make this a clip. So I got to say this whole thing. I don't have to say the whole thing. I'm going to make it real tight.
I wish I had one of those, like, you know?
Is your guitar tuned?
It's like dropped. I wish it wasn't. I can play that thing.
Here.
We'll
Play
have
this.
John play metal.
This is like it's a new era here. So we're not even,
No,
I'm
no.
not even concerned about this
This
episode.
is season 2.
being like, I mean, yeah,
starting a new
Season two is going to start out one way.
there's
and it's
so
gonna
much
find
character
its own,
development that has to come.
It's going to find
Right.
its own voice.
We're just getting our own. This is like me tuning on an HX Stomp from 10 feet.
It'll be full of season 2. Guitar Friends will be full of betrayal, deceit, hope,
Cliffhangers.
redemption, tone,
Right. What about,
IRs.
ooh, what about those where you think something's going to happen? Oh, twists.
A twist.
Ooh.
You know, like a plot twist?
Plot twist.
All right. Do you want to do your clip beginning?
Yeah,
This is it, man.
we'll
We're
do
in
the
it.
clip,
a
and
bunch
then
of
we'll
slop
throw
just
some.
now.
And then we'll throw some stuff deep in the episode later on. So, okay, so we're looking at these new AIRs, and I'm sure people are going to go, AI. This is just a marketing ploy, but these things sound incredible.
Right.
They sound like beyond incredible. They're the best thing out there. I've tried everything else out there. They're the best. Okay. Anyway, don't believe me? Here is the IR of the AIR of my favorite cab, my 412 Greenback with a 57. So this is just if you take the matchless and you pull it up and you pull up this IR, and here's a little bit of some delay and verb. How much delay and verb do we have there, Suze? That much delay and verb. Here's how it sounds with just the 57.
And what amp is this? This is the matchless.
This is the matchless channel 1.
Okay.
Beautiful. Here is the stock cab in the Helix. Okay, lovely. If I could only use one mic in the world, like if you said, HW, you can only use one mic ever,
So limiting.
it'd be a 906. I take it.
Interesting.
It's my favorite dynamic mic. I could play 57 too or something,
yeah.
but whatever. Here is the
If I had to.
here's the same thing, same amp, same matchless with the 906, the AIR 906 in my favorite Greenback cab.
That sounds incredible.
That sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here is the here's the Helix stock 906 Greenback.
Go back to the IR.
They couldn't be more different.
Oh, really?
That's insane.
I actually think they both sound good, but
Yeah.
I'm partial.
Can I just say something?
You may.
That sounds like an amp in the room.
It does sound pretty
It
hefty.
really does.
It does sound hefty and full.
You're right. I think the Helix thing sounds okay,
Yeah.
but it definitely sounds like a digital modeler
Yeah.
to me.
It's
Yeah.
pretty exaggerated, like
Yes.
off of a typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I love these AIRs because they sound full and big, but they don't sound dark on the top end.
No.
Which is a complaint I had of a couple other things out there. When I found fullness, they were dull.
Right.
Very dull.
Yeah.
To the point that I had to really be making changes, right? And
You don't
so
want to be doing that.
yeah, and I mean, look,
don't.
here's the thing: you're going to adjust your sound for everything, right? And so you can adjust anything. Like a blue sounds very different than a greenback or a V30, right? And the amp you put in there sounds very different, and you get a different thing out. So you're always going to adjust. So you want to find what works best for you and whatnot. But to me, these sound really good, kind of right out of the box. Here's the 121 by itself. And same amp, same everything. Here's just the 121 by itself. So this is just like a ribbon mic. Cool. And then here is the Helix cab. That's about the same. That's about where I would put it, though, where I had it from memory. But you know, to me, there's a lot of play the bridge on this. To me, it's plenty. It's plenty bright and alive. You know. Yeah, so I'm real happy with them.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And
Sounds great.
I'm excited. I think you can download these and you'll hear the difference on the Helix, on the QC, whatever. So I'm real excited. And there's 10 of them at launch, 10 packs at launch. And then we'll have, I'm going to work on about four more cabs that I really want to get done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So more coming.
That's exciting, man. IR lovers beware.
IR lovers beware. IR lovers beware.
I'm excited.
Anyway, that's the new AIRs, and thank you, ToneBot, for all the help with that. Are we gonna get what else? What did we do? What are the must cover things on this episode as we approach 55
Gilbert
minutes?
Gottfried. What's he doing?
I bought a new guitar. You want to see it?
We should see the new guitar.
You have it here?
It's right there.
Should we wait for the next episode?
Oh, sure.
Because that might be a bit.
I
big
actually am really
Cliffhanger.
what's so funny about him? What's he doing up there? Is he on some? Oh, you said Howard Stern.
When Howard Stern goes on Gilbert Gottfried, and you can just look up Howard Stern, Gilbert Gottfried, and there are probably 20 appearances from 93 to 2010, where every time he comes on, it's the most insane. His humor is so like old and like just like
Timeless?
yes, but he's also a terribly unhappy person, and
Yes.
that makes
And that
for
comes
really
across.
good. Yes, he talks a lot about like his difficulty being a parent, you know, and you can see there's a really deep level of like he probably thinks his kids are embarrassed that he's the father. I mean, it's just like
yeah.
you know, talks about having no friends. It's
Was
just,
he like a stand-up comic or
Yes.
or more than an actor? Like in
I think he was a
movies?
stand-up comic, and then a lot of those guys became actors, but he's a stand-up comic.
He may be more known for that than for his film.
Probably more known for being in the films, like that would get him a bigger audience. But he's
okay.
definitely a stand-up comic, and
Okay.
was before he became an actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really only know him as like a voiceover.
Yes. What's funny is
person,
on one of
you
these
know.
appearances, and they're like, and apparently, and Gilbert, there's a new movie coming out where you play a bird.
Right.
And they like talk about it, but Aladdin hadn't
It's
come out
so
yet.
old,
I know,
yeah.
it's so crazy.
Right.
Wow.
And they like introduced the wrong name. They're like Jaffer, and he's like, it's Jeff. I can't do a Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah,
but
Nobody can do Gilbert.
no.
Only he can do.
And so
his-
it's
his
real
bit.
funny.
And
Yeah.
honestly, only he should do it.
Right.
Because it's too obnoxious if other people do it.
Right.
Now,
One
I
is
will
enough for
say-
the whole world to have.
I will say the humor, one of the shticks of the show is there's a level of humor that not even Howard at these years would go with. Things that were so terrible to say. And kind of the shtick is Gilbert always says these things while on the show.
He's like,
and
"I'll do
even
it."
Howard doesn't tolerate it.
That's really saying something.
It is. And so I just wanted, before you go look this up, there is a humor that would not stand up today. You'd be canceled for sure.
Oh wow.
There's a
90s
lot.
you said, or like before that?
There's a lot of racist humor.
I bet.
But what Robin's in the room, and she's obviously an African American woman, and that's one of the dynamics is that Gilbert is saying these things, and he runs the line of where they're often like, "Are you a racist?" But
Right.
then he just goes into like a weird voice, and then the dynamic is like he's obviously just willing to say anything for a laugh, the most shocking thing, and there's several times where it just gets so crazy, even Howard has to like mute his mic and cut him off, and like end the appearance. It just-
Wow.
And so, and several times he's talking about people getting mad at him in stand-up shows for jokes that are very offensive.
Just like crossing the line. Yeah. Obliterating
Which
the line.
is so funny. It's so funny.
Right.
There's people calling in going, I think he's a good actor, but I don't think he should be doing stand-up. Like, he's not very good at it. And they all find that, as a room full of comedians, they all find that so funny.
Yeah.
That
Right.
someone would call in and say this, and they're like, you realize he's, the amount of comedians that ever really make it and get to the point where everyone knows their name.
Yeah.
He's one of them. Even if
Right.
he's only in the top 30 or 50
Right.
at the
Right.
time. It's like he's doing it. The idea that someone would seriously call in and say, "You're really not funny. You should really."
Right.
end it."
Yeah.
It's like, how do you think I
Just-
got here?
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
I got here
It's
by-
actually- yes,
Yeah. Why am I a
that's-
guest on the show?
That's
Yeah.
so
You know?
funny in its own right that someone watches his stand up and gets so little of it. And just like,
Yeah.
you're really not very good at this, but
Right.
he's been so successful. I mean,
Keep going on the
It's-
acting, bud.
Right.
yeah, there's a whole time
I
where
have
he
spoken.
was supposed to be a spokesperson for Miracle Whip and they fired him. That's a whole bit on the show, which is true and is very funny. Anyway, enough
Wow.
about that.
Vintage Stern.
Man, did I get more hate for Kemper releasing DLC than Kemper?
Oh my gosh.
100%.
Yeah.
It's almost like you released the DLC.
Shoot the messenger. I know I haven't made $300 from anybody on this DLC.
Right.
I'm not even getting the money.
My favorite part about all of this, I mean,
Wow.
People
What
are
a terrible idea you had.
know.
crazy. This will be a clip. Hopefully, people see it. But please
Yeah.
tell me, and then I'm going to give you
Look,
my take walking
the-
away from all this.
I think it's a comment. It's like a meta commentary. The comments on that video are like
Yes.
a meta commentary about the state of gear reviews
Yeah.
on YouTube.
And maybe the state of the world, by the way.
Right. But for sure, it's the state of people talking about products on social
Yes.
media.
Yes. The
Where-
gear page showed up.
Yes, where I think the automatic assumption that you are being paid to say all of those things is hilarious to me.
I think
And-
they lost my address because I
Right.
haven't been getting
And
the checks.
to-
And,
You know, to be fair, there is not a point in really any of your videos where you make it abundantly clear, like everyone else does, these opinions are my own. I'm not paid to say this. I feel like we shouldn't have to do that all the time. I feel like everyone's so afraid of that. Everyone's so afraid of being called a shill. But the whole and I've said it before too, like this whole oh, you're saying something positive about a thing that I think is a negative thing. Therefore, I can't be wrong in my opinion. You must be being paid by that company to say that. Is the most absurd thing. It's the most absurd conclusion, having no knowledge about what's happening. And then here's another thing too about that video in particular. There's you can tell which of your videos are reaching a wide audience.
yes.
Because people stop talking to you and they start talking about
You. Yes.
Right?
And that's this weird thing that happens. People normally on Tone Junkie realize, like this episode will probably get 1,500 views.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2,000 maybe 3,000. You know, sometimes we have a video that kind of, I get 35 or something.
Right.
But this is a reoccurring podcast. Maybe someone's watching the clip we pulled out of it.
Right.
Okay. And maybe that clip will go out because people love it. But people are talking to us. We have a Facebook group people can join. They
Totally.
can talk to us.
Right.
We're not so, people message me on Facebook.
Right.
And it's true. The comments shift to being about you as though they're watching a television.
Right.
And it's and because I think when you comment to Rob Chappers or even Rhett, they can't read all the comments and respond.
No.
I will tell you something
We
fun.
can.
We can. We can. I lie awake at night
Right.
because of your comments.
Sleepless nights.
We read most of them.
Yeah, sure.
I do
There's
want to
not
say
that
this.
many to read.
Even on the video with all those negative comments, my like to dislike ratio on the big one was still 75% like. So I know that it's the loudest, it's the most unhappy people who are the loudest.
Wait, no, that can't be true.
I want to say something too to everyone who came in and was so mad. There's one video online that I found that talks about when the Kemper player came out that discusses Kemper releasing DLC in the future. It's my video.
Yeah.
And it's called Is Kemper Releasing DLC?
Right.
So
9
all the
months
people
ago.
who wandered into the comment section, it's a bait and switch. They screwed us, blah, blah.
Right.
First of all, let me just point out, I'm the one who broke that story anyway, because I'm the one who made a YouTube video and got, I think, 15,000 people to watch it
Right.
off a post that Kemper made on their own forum, which probably only had a couple thousand eyeballs on it.
Right.
And so, I as much as anybody made it known that this was going to happen.
Right.
And just because you didn't know about it, who cares? You weren't into the product.
There was one comment I saw that really it made me laugh because it was just like something to the effect of, I can't believe we've sunken this far that some shill could spread such nonsense And with only 40,000 subscribers, it can't even be that much money anyway. How far we've fallen.
Right.
And I'm like, what kind of conclusion is this?
Well, I
This
mean,
is
he's
insane.
right in the sense that 0 isn't a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm getting to say.
He's pretty accurate.
I think what people
It's
misunderstand.
just so insane to me.
And there's this thing out there that like you can call people out as like, oh, if I were someone who reviewed gear and made money that way,
Right.
then calling me a show would mean something.
Right.
But I just got done saying how I've spent weeks making these IRs.
Right.
I have the luxury of being able to just say what I think because I don't really care if
we
you
don't get because
I don't care
because
if you trust my opinion or not. Don't
Right.
buy a Kemper if you don't like. If you don't like the guitars I buy, I don't get money from manufacturers to then like make a video. So if I have like a hot take that people don't like, at the end of the day, I do make things that people want to buy. That's just the reality.
Yes.
Right? And so in so much as I could hurt myself financially by getting out there too much and saying an opinion and then someone goes, well, then I'm not going to support him.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, well, if my Vox sounds good on Kemper, Helix, QC, that's kind of my business. The whole thing about it, like having an opinion on whether there's a DLC pack is completely separate. By the way, I'm not the one making the DLC pack.
Right.
My opinion happens to be, this is really cool for people who would utilize this. And I think it's cool in general. And I just happen to understand why Kemper at $700 didn't release a mini Kemper. Because it would have meant they're probably not going to sell any of the $1,500 units or the other units. And so by making this sort of tier system, I was only trying to point out that if they hadn't done this DLC and everyone got this functionality out of the gate, it wouldn't have been the price it was to begin with. So right, because it's just economics, right? Like just like Tonex, you sell that unit, that little Tonex for $99, but how much are they making on upgrades to the software? How much are they making by you making an IK account and they pitch all of these other plugins? They want to compete with UA more, right? How much are they trying to make more money on these collections they're selling? Because now not only do they sell the levels of software, I don't know, like people don't seem to see this.
Oh,
I mean, IK sells the levels of software, and then also in addition to that, they have a couple packs that are not in Max. You have to buy it separate,
Right.
Or you can buy it separate.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have to be blind because I get like 30 emails a day from IK.
Yeah, and look, that's part of
It's
it.
actually insane.
Get you in the ecosystem,
Right.
And the software was a product before the pedal for IK. So obviously the software is a product.
Amplitude is so old.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything bad about IK. IK, by giving you the software they're charging for with the pedal, creates a tremendous value. And at $99, it creates a pedal where it's like, why wouldn't everybody own one of these?
Right.
And that's awesome. And they're adding effects. We'll talk about this in the next episode, but IK is adding effects to the Tonex. So they've added delay, a modulation. There already was a reverb, but they're adding more reverbs. So they're adding 2 separate new effects plus the reverb in the existing pedal.
And now you can drag them around. You can put them before and after the amp too.
I believe that. Yeah. And so that's awesome. And it's great. I'm not charging for an upgrade. I just think it's cool that it's available. And the videos attract
I don't know. I think it's
wild people sometimes.
I think it's so fun. I think it's so funny when people try to sell products and people like take offense that it's more expensive than they want it to be or think it should be. It's like,
and a lot of people said I was being mean.
Like a moral evil has occurred.
It's like if this product no longer makes sense, like here's this
It's so true.
this actually bothers me so much. If you thought that a Kemper player, how much do those cost? $500, brand new when they
$699, I think.
98.
that's before the upgrade. So they're So if you look at that and you're like, that is so overpriced, then you're not going to buy one. And guess what? When they come out and they say, oh, you can make it even better for even more, then you can decide, oh, that's still overpriced, or it's not,
and
or it's not. And the thing is that if you didn't think it was a bad value and then you bought it, that doesn't change. You still get that. You still get that functionality for that price that you thought was a good deal when you first bought it. The fact that they can expand the functionality for more money later is irrelevant.
It's also crazy to me because it's the exact thing Eventide has done for years with the H9. And
Right.
no one has ever called that a scam
Right.
or
Right.
something. So to me, it's like, look, hey, I saw a couple creators, they go, I hope this doesn't become the trend, that everything you buy needs a digital upgrade later on. I agree with that. I mean, I think that's you're right. Maybe that'll become the trend. Maybe it won't.
Yeah.
But realistically, you have companies like Tesla that have a $9.99 monthly fee if you want to add LTE, cell phone style internet to your car. You don't have to add it, but if you want to add it, it's there. Some manufacturers don't even offer LTE for any price in their car. You can't do it.
Right.
With Tesla, to me, it enriches the experience. I pay for it. So I pay the $9.99 to Tesla a month. Tesla also has a speed boost on the long range cars, or at least the older models they used to, where you have dual motors. They've been dialed in with the software for efficiency. But if you want us to just throw caution to the wind, we'll give you this software upgrade that will make you go faster, but it'll kill your range.
Right.
But if you want a speed boost, that's it. Give us $1,500.
Right.
BMW does, I think,
Or like
the worst thing
my
in the
car,
world.
My Tesla was one of the ones that it shipped with the same size battery as yours, but it's
yeah.
limited via software.
And the range was limited.
And
yeah.
I can pay Tesla $3,000 or $2,000, whatever, to open that up.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I'm not going to because I don't need it.
Yeah.
But if you needed it and had the money,
But if I needed it, if I need it later, I can do it
You
later.
can buy it.
You know?
Yeah.
Or how or the fact that, like, you know, Tesla used to charge, you know, they didn't. Now they have like full self-driving as a monthly fee, right? Where they didn't have that before.
Yeah.
You had to shell out thousands
Right
and
up
thousands
front,
of dollars right up front.
Yeah.
And now it's just like a subscription.
Yeah.
You turn it off,
And
you
maybe
use it for a
people-
bit, you turn it,
And
you
maybe
turn
people
on.
hate it. And by the
Yeah.
way, there's a lot of economic reasons why Tesla does that. It's
Right.
not that they want every car to pay them more money. It's actually that, like with your car, it's that they have the capacity doesn't always match up with demand, and they need to deliver cars at the end of the quarter.
Right.
And you didn't order the other car. You
Right.
ordered them, and if they start giving away the more expensive car,
Right.
everyone will go, it has to cost less. But
Right.
they're very incentivized by the market to make sure they hit delivery numbers at the end of a quarter. So it's easier for them to just give them this one.
Right.
We'll take less margin. We'll software disable part of it.
Right.
There you go. Now no one feels like it's unfair. There's all sorts of things to do like that. BMW to me does the worst thing in the world. They put in seat heaters. They charge you a monthly fee for your seat heaters in the newer Beamers.
Do they really?
Yeah, it's insane.
That's
To me, I hate that.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I would go
The
comment on
heater's
my
already
own
there,
video.
yeah.
If you ever see me advocating for that,
right.
what a shill.
what a shill.
What a shill. I know. Yeah.
BMW, you know where to send the check. You know, but it's the type of thing. You know, I'm not for that either. But you know what? Kia's never going
After
to
he
do that.
slammed it.
It's like plot twist. We're actually sponsored by BMW.
Yeah, no one noticed. The whole time it was about gear.
But part of it's like, hey, it's you know, Kia will never do that. And the more BMW does that,
Right.
the more someone else will come along. Lexus will come along and go, we're going to add features to our cars as a way to compete with BMW.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have this dynamic. And so I'm really not worried. Kemper, the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is, you know, a lot of the people being so loud. It's like Kemper employs people in Germany, provides them health care. This is
Right.
a first world country.
Right.
If you like to go have Foxconn, who makes your iPhone and has people jumping off the building because they hate their life so much, they have to, Foxconn has put suicide nets outside their building to stop people who make your iPhones from jumping off. If you want that,
That sucks.
you could move it to China. And you could fire all the people in Germany.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, there's always a thing of like, Walmart's evil. They crush small business. But I'm going to buy the $8 t-shirts that
Right,
they
but
sell.
I can get bacon there cheaper than I can get
Yeah,
anywhere
it's like
else.
you're not going to
Value.
get right. And it's like American Apparel still makes their t-shirts in the same factory where you will get shot if you go visit it, right next to Skid Row.
Right.
And it pollutes right there, and people are so mad that it has a big steam pipe up top. I've been there.
Right.
Back in my former career, and those shirts you will not find for less than $24.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're blank, and then they're made to put some on, and they compete with a Chinese product that is $4, $5, $6.
Right.
But it's good quality. It's American made. If that matters to you, it's available. I'm only aware of one company that still does that. Maybe probably Bell and Canvas has some version. But anyway, There's a factory
I
in
mean,
LA.
I guess I look. I
Spend your money on what
understand.
you want.
Having said everything I just said, I do understand that getting a product that you think is operating at its full potential, and then you learn later for whatever reason you were unaware that it's not.
Yeah.
And then you learn later it's more capable than it seemed to be at first. But the company intentionally left that out. And it was capable of it all along, but they're not going to. Then I can understand why people feel like it's like, oh, well, that's a bit weird. Like, why isn't it fully capable already? Right? It seems the only reason to do that is to get people to buy it and then hopefully that they upgrade it later. But we exist in this world where it's like, everyone's looking at like subscriptions now. Like I work for software companies.
Yeah.
Right? Subscriptions are the name of the game.
Yeah.
man.
This podcast going subscription.
Yeah. It's like,
Wow.
To start every month at zero is like a shocking, realization when you venture outside of subscription-based software.
Yeah.
It's like, my company starts the month at millions of dollars, almost guaranteed revenue.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can plan for things. And hardware manufacturers don't have that.
No.
And they're competing with their own used inventory on Reverb. And they're competing with now all of these other people who are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Doing it cheaper, and so everyone's just trying to find their own little niche. And like, I don't want Kemper to go away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be a bummer. So I don't know, man. It's a weird thing. I commend them for trying something. And guess what? You vote with your dollars.
Yeah.
And if nobody upgrades, then they won't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And they'll lower the price until it's like, you know what? We tried it. It didn't work. We're going to refund people and upgrade everyone for free or something like that. You know what I mean?
Completely, yeah.
That
And I
may
think
happen.
also, I just want to say something. It's unheard of. A lot of people are pointing out, other companies give updates for free. Kemper's been giving updates for free for 13 years.
Yeah.
There's only one product they're saying, this, our cheapest product, is not going to have all the features of the others. They're still updating this for free.
Right.
I think it's very unfair to sort of like shit on that whole history and go like, Line 6 does it, Axe does it. First of all, Axe has had, in that 14 years, like 3 different hardware iterations.
Right.
You are not still getting updates
Did you
for
have
your
to
Axe
pay
2.
when they came out with new delays,
No.
new drives,
Yeah.
new reverbs, all of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Did you have to pay for that?
No one did. And I just want to hit this home again. Axe is not upgrading the Axe 2 unit. Like, you had to get to the next software.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a red herring kind of thing.
Right. It's
He-
not. Yeah, it's
Helix
not the
is
same.
supporting their product. Like, great for them.
Right.
QC is supporting their product. It's been out not nearly as long, but I just want to point out, people often don't point this out either. Line 6 does not actually give all of the features all the way down the line. The Pod Go waited months and months and months to get the new cabs. Models come out there's new models for the Helix that originally were on the little combo that they did. What was it called?
The Spider.
No, the Canvas or the C had a C name. Remember, it had modeling built into the cab. It was a successor to the
yes.
Spider.
Catalyst.
Those
Dang, we
models
all got
were
it.
made first for the Catalyst, later added the Helix. They have not matriculated down to the smaller units, meaning they're on the Axe, but the Podgo hasn't gotten them yet. The little Podgo Express doesn't get all this stuff.
Right.
So it's a little bit cherry picking to just take when you have a company like Kemper that has 3 units available. They make a 4th available at the cheapest price by far.
Right.
It doesn't have a feature. It's a little bit disingenuous to say Line 6 does it, but you only point out the 3 products appear on Line 6. Line 6 has like 9 products available. They
Right.
do not have all the things matriculate down.
Right.
So that's just not true. It's not on the Line 6, on the Express,
Right.
a little Pod Express. It doesn't need to be. And that's fine. I'm just saying, you compare all these things, like everyone's up against the same economic challenges and stuff.
Right.
So companies are big and
Yeah,
small.
why do
They're
you
going to
think-
have different.
Why do you think Neural DSP is like What you think it's like they're adding plugin support on the Quad Cortex out of the goodness of their
They're
hearts?
gonna sell
no,
more
it's
plugins.
yes, because they can sell you more
And
plugins.
I said this in the video. If you want to take the
like-
most cynical version of the truth,
Yeah.
you can say those plugins are DLC. I don't think that's
100%.
true because
Yeah.
Neural DSP started as a plugin company
Right.
who then made a pretty awesome piece of hardware.
Right.
And so it's logical that they would then go, could we add this? Could we get this
Right.
on here?
Yeah, but
And
no.
that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong. I just want to say, I don't think
Right.
there's anything wrong. I think if you want to be overly cynical, you can go, Neural has DLC. It's
yeah.
like, that's not really
and
the case.
and in fact, and I don't know this to be true, and I would be happy to be wrong about this, but I can also imagine a scenario where Doug, is it the guy who started Neural
Yeah, Doug,
DSP?
yeah.
Doug and Rabia and everyone else over at Neural DSP are hanging around. They're like, you know what? How can we get our plugins in the maximum number of people's hands? Because
Right.
not everyone uses their laptop to play guitar all the time.
100%.
They're like, well, what if we made a physical unit? Right?
Yeah,
They're like,
Rebay doesn't want to take his laptop to a gig
no,
either.
of course
That's the
not.
other reality
and so,
of this.
And
Yeah.
so it's almost like, oh, we're coming at it from like, oh, they wanted to make a digital unit because, Kemper has one and Helix has one and would they want to compete with that? It's like, no, they probably thought to themselves, how do we get our plugins, because we think that they're the best sounding plugins, how do we get our sounds in the most number of guitar players' hands
Yeah, John, how
possible?
dare you call them a business? Outrageous.
I know.
Outrageous.
It's like,
Outrageous.
I commend all these products because, look, out of how many people there are commenting on videos complaining about things, how many of them have companies that they've built to further anyone's guitar playing ability in any way?
I do. I'll
you know
take the
what I
most
mean?
cynical approach. I do read the comments and start thinking none of you do anything. Like sometimes I read the take and I'm just like, none of you are doing anything in this world.
No.
You're not making anything. You're not creating. No. You can just kind of sometimes get this is where people are going to get upset with me because I get the.
Well, it's all the way.
Sometimes you just get the little like the tone,
Yeah.
tone of how people are talking, the entitlement, and it's just like.
And look,
you think. I don't want to get into this, but I'm just going to say, you think in November you can check a box and it's going to fix your life.
right.
I'm strongly advocating for one guy, but I don't think he's going to fix any of my problems.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's certainly not going to fix.
I'm just hoping he doesn't cause any that affect me.
He's not going to fix.
That's really it.
He's not going to fix the Kemper DLC problem. I'll tell you that.
No, I checked. I messaged the administration.
Right.
Or I messaged
did
the
you hear back?
campaign. I did.
You heard back?
Don Jr. said he's not getting involved.
Wow.
All right.
I
This
told you
is
there's
it.
going to be plot twists in
Plot twist,
season
plot
2.
twist.
Plot twist.
Don
Look at
Jr.
all
is coming on the
this.
next episode.
Plot twist. We're sponsored by BMW.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and White House DLC.
Yes. and Barron's going to come on.
Dang.
Okay. Tone Juggy Podcast, episode 51. This has been a good one. Do we have time? You want to do another short one?
Yeah.
We'll play a little game on the next
What even
episode.
time is it right now?
4:20.
Dang.
Elon's favorite hour.
Time for something else.
Here we go.
I've been Seuss. Are we not doing that?
Oh, I did. We probably just ended it right
It's
there.
already-
I'll say,
it's
here we
already
go.
gone. Bye.